Evening, everybody. How are you? Uh, Welcome to the next part of our build off. Just a short one today, I think, because we've not got too many bits and pieces to do. But with us this evening, we have Josh. Good evening, Josh.
Good evening, Matt. How are you?
I'm not too bad, sir. Not too bad.
Fantastic, fantastic. Good work. Good one this week. This is the fun part.
Excellent. And we also have Mr. Purcell. Good evening. How are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm all right, thank you. Looking forward to doing some sewing.
Good, good. So, yes, I need to do some linky stuff because Chris Meldrum, who is our normal links man, is not with us this week. He will be back next week. So, Josh, can you do a brief rundown whilst I send the links out to people?
Absolutely. So
Perfect.
this week we're going to have some fun. This is the part where I think you start to see the kite become a kite. So we're going to start sewing. We're going to sew the sails together. At this point, from the point we left it last week, you should have, just go to the trusty downstairs, two halves of a sail stuck together. And that's as far as we got last week. This week, we're going to piece these parts of the sail together. We're going to join the two halves, and then we're going to cut the reinforcements to go onto the sails next week. So yeah, that's what we're going to do this week. So what you'll need this week, a sewing machine loaded up with thread. Please have your thread and bobbins ready. You're going to need your sail, of course. You're going to need a little bit of your double-sided adhesive, and of course, a sewing machine. Apart from that, you're not going to need anything. Oh, scissors might be handy. Yeah. And then when we get to cutting our reinforcements, you're going to need some Dacron or Mylar, a pencil, and a hot knife, scalpel, scissors, whatever you want to use to cut, and a little bit of patience with that one because that's a tricky part. But yeah.
Also, I know we covered it in the mini build, the mini pulse. Sorry, but will you take us through just sort of glossing over the stitch settings and things like that, just to like reaffirm to people what we're doing and what sort of stitches we're using.
So this week, like the mini pulse build, using a 3-step zigzag. You can see the one across the top there. So my steps are 5 mil wide and 1.5 mil apart each individual. So you're looking at about 12 millimeters for the entire length of the 3 back and 3 forward, and 5 mil wide. And that's awesome. The only stitch we're going to use this week.
Okay, all right. I apologize to everyone if it's a bit of a quiet episode, this one, but there's only so much we can say about Josh doing sewing. But if you do have any questions in the chat, then please feel free to send them in our direction. Also, I suppose what we should do is bring as many people as we can into the Zoom room. So if you want to join us, I'm going to post the link right now when I can find it.
Yeah, I want to see some colors this week because we didn't see many colors last week.
No, we didn't. Okay, right. The link is in the Facebook chat. So if you're going to join us, you can follow it there. Okay, well, I think without further ado, we should just probably crack on. Yeah?
Let's go for it.
Okay.
So what we're going to start with, yes, that's £2 to the cause. So, I just said it again. We're going to start stitching the sails together, and anything we do on one half, we're just mirroring on the other side. So it's good to remember that. We're going to start sewing the longest seams first because that's going to give the kite as such its strength as you start sewing it, just in case anything slips or stretches. So we're going to start with this one along the top, then directly parallel below it, and then the verticals across the sail. like with the mini pulls, we're going to we're going to lock all these stitches off so that your threads don't start to come out and kite falls apart. It does happen. I've seen it happen. We've all been there. So I'm just going to position this in an appropriate place. What's that like for view? Bit dark, or?
Yeah, no, that's it is a fraction dark. We probably could do just a little bit more. That's it. You got it. You got it.
Okay, nobody ring me.
Good, mate. That's looking good. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting at the top seam, and like I said, this is going to be the seam which runs all the way down the style.
Okay.
So, what I'm doing, I'm positioning the needle inside the sail, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take them 3 steps back to lock the stitching in. So it's inside the sail. My machine's set to reverse. And just take this nice and slowly. So there's the first, second, third, fourth. So now I know that's locked in there. We can start to sew. So, and it's just as simple as following the edge of the sail. You guys may or may not have aligning tools engraved into the plate of the sewing machine. If you have, they're always great to follow. And you're just going to take this nice and slowly for a nice, peaceful stitch. I will try to keep that out of the camera. I'm using a walking foot. It's going to pull the sail from the top and the bottom, so you get a nice even stitch.
I have to say, every time I watch your machine, it makes me insanely jealous. It's got a very nice action to it.
It's fast machine 122E.
So Peter Loop in the chat has said that he can't join us today, but he's going to catch us on the replay. Well, thanks very much for that, Peter. Much appreciated. Hopefully we cover some interesting points. Although if you have been in the mini pulse build at this point, it will be very, very similar. So, Josh, am I right in thinking that that's a much longer triple zigzag than on the mini pulse, or is it the same?
It's slightly longer because the mini pulse has that extreme flat sail, and you want to keep as much pressure in there. It's quite important to use a shorter stitch. But for this kite, there's not that much pressure hitting the sail because a lot of the pressure on the wind is dumped. So if you can use a slightly longer stitch, it's going to make your life a bit easier. But if you want to use a shorter stitch, feel free. You're more than welcome to.
And actually, I think it's got. Personally, I think there's an aesthetic to having a longer stitch as well. I just think that it looks a bit sleeker.
Personally, I disagree. I quite like the shorter stitches.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, there we go. It's all subjective. If we're all the same, it'd be very boring, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
So
again.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'm talking over you there.
That's all right. We're just starting, so we're going to be inside the sail. Step back to the final stitch, which is now, and then we're going forward, so that stitch is locked in.
Excellent. So whilst you're doing that next run, I noticed that we've got Watty and Alan have crept in. Good evening, guys. How are you? Both? You'll have to talk over the top of Josh, but
I will mute.
Hi, we're fine. I'm fine anyway.
Good. Busy week?
Yes, I've enjoyed a little bit of sunshine this week. Managed to get out and do some photography on some really, really old kites. There's some that I acquired, but I've not had a chance because of what's happened this year to get them outside and take some pictures of them. I need to document them. They're very, very old. But I've been doing some old kite research this week, which has been really good.
Excellent. That's all sounds fun. And Watty, what have you been up to this week?
Oh, not too much. Can you hear me okay? I just switched over my headphones.
Yeah, no, I
okay,
can hear you fine, mate.
Yeah, doing all right. I know. I'm looking forward to getting further on the build. I don't know. Went out and flew a little bit yesterday. Been practicing my TAS machines. I'm not super great at them yet, but I got a few pretty ones in there.
Nice. Like it. I have to say, it's one that I've been, let's say, looking at from afar recently, because I'm a little way off being at that standard, but we can hope. We can hope. It's definitely one of my favorite looking tricks for sure. Okay, Josh, where are we at, mate?
We're actually not that far. There isn't a lot of stitching in this sail, so it's quite a quick one to put together. So I'm just going to do the stitch, which is running directly along the leading edge, because there's 2 lock points in this. You want to lock it on the outside and the inside. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lock the machine in place. Again, stepping inside, so you know that you can reverse it without locking off your machine, with locking off your stitch. It's definitely Sunday.
Definitely
yeah.
Sunday, mate. Definitely Sunday, 100%.
Just lock that off. So there, we're locked in there now, and just running forward. So like before, you can see that you're coming to the end of the stitch now. So we know that this final step of 3 needs to be where we lock the stitch off. So all we're going to do, nice and slowly, and that's the final stitch there. So now we need to take 3 back to lock that stitch in. And that's done.
I have to say, I've been finishing off, dare I say it, the 2 other mini pulse builds, one for Chris and one for Graham. And on the one I built for myself, I'd actually not really paid too much attention to the locking, but I have to say on these 2 I have done, and it's very, very satisfying when you get it just right. So yeah, that's a very good tip that you gave us last time around, it has to be said.
Okay, so for this seam, we're starting inside the sail. So again, that same locking off idea is relevant. So stepping in, reverse, 1, 2, 3, we're sealed. And now it's running forward, aligning with your alignment marks if you have them. And it's just straight stitching, so let the machine do the work. You're just guiding that through the machine. Locked off, and trim your threads. So we're actually down to the final seam on this half. So yeah, again, this seam starts inside the kite. So you know what I'm going to say. We're going to lock it off to start, and then we're going to run away with it. So stepping back, 1, 2, 3, and away.
So whilst Josh is finishing that off, has anybody got any questions thus far? Because we're absolutely flying through it, and we may have gone over stuff too quickly. So if anybody wants us to go back over something, then now is the time to ask.
Yes, I've got a question going back to last week's part build, Matt.
Yes.
Perhaps Josh can help us with this. As I posted midweek after I'd glued my sails together, as is typical, I made a mistake and put the tape on the wrong side of one of the pieces of fabric.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to do it. I hope they don't, but yours truly did. It compounded itself because when I'd seen you before, Josh, you position the tape and then peel it back quickly to then reposition it. Mine tore the fabric because it was just plain ripstop. So I've had to cut another panel, obviously, not a problem. But one of the panels had got the adhesive on the wrong side. Is there any way of getting it off easily?
Yes. So a little bit of alcohol, not vodka. Don't take your spirits to you. But I use alcohol gel to remove adhesive from Icarex. It doesn't discolor. which is the benefit of it. But I also know that when when you're on the beach and you've got white panels in your kite and they come away looking like kind of a discolored yellow.
Mm-hmm.
If you use, is it distilled ethanol? I want to say. It can take that out, and it's not distilled ethanol. Of course, ethanol is distilled.
Do you mean isopropyl alcohol?
I have no idea, mate. To tell you the
I
truth.
mean that we certainly would use that all the time for cleaning all sorts of bits and pieces that are quite delicate. I don't know when it comes to Icarex if there's some coating on the Icarex that you have to be careful of with the alcohol. The person to ask is Mark. Mark, if you are listening at home and you need to chime in and you want to chime in, then please message me and tell me the answer. What I would say is, in terms of getting that, are you using the ATG tape, Alan?
Well, yeah, I've got ATG tape. I don't know if it's the right sort of ATG tape.
So it sticks like anything.
It does indeed.
I have repeatedly over the quite a handful of kites that I've built now unintentionally got it stuck on panels. I've actually found that you can roll it off quite easily without stretching the fabric. I'm sure someone will come back and say, well, it does stretch the fabric in a very minute way, but certainly not that I've found is noticeable. And I would say on every kite I've built, I have done that, and to no negative.
Yeah, that's what I did with the small section that was on the existing panel. I managed to use my thumb and just roll it away off the edge without too much detriment. It did take a while to get it started. So I just wondered if Josh had got a nice trick up his sleeve.
I mean, it's if we can double check that the isopropyl won't attack any coating on the Icarex, that would definitely be the way forward. Although what I would say is it probably would take just as long because you're going to have to be, I guess, quite intensive with it, and the adhesive is pretty hardcore on that tape. So
yeah,
I will try and find out the name of that chemical that was used.
So the real trick is not to make the mistake in the first place.
Yes, definitely. Meanwhile, I'm actually going to. Oh, wait, Chris, have you got something to add here?
Well, I mean, it's only a short-term test, but I have some isopropyl alcohol here because I use it to occasionally clean the needle. The ATG tape builds up on the needle. So I use a cotton bud and some IPA to clean it off. I have my test scrap of Icarex here, and while it's not a long-term test, I have just tried to rub to see whether the color comes out or whether it dissolves or anything, and it doesn't. It has to be said, I did the same as Alan and actually stuck a panel together wrong in a way and had to end up taking the panel off. And I find the easiest way is, rather than rolling it, is to get like a little ball of it and then sort of tack it off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It seems to come off better just straight from the surface rather than sheer.
Okay. All right. That's a good shout.
Works quite well. But if you try and roll it off all in one go, it doesn't work quite so well.
Okay. All right. And I definitely, for anyone that doesn't know, cleaning your needle with this stuff. That's why I've got a big bottle next to my sewing machine, because I've been doing lots of sewing recently. This stuff, isopropyl alcohol, it's probably quite expensive at this moment in time. What with the pandemic that we've been going through, and everyone buying it up in massive quantities. But
just use hand sanitizer.
Yeah, just use hand sanitizer. Yeah, might as well. Right, Josh, what is? Oh, let me just check Facebook and see. Denatured. Amy Doran is saying, or Doran.
That's the one.
Denatured alcohol.
Yep, that's the one I was looking for.
Okay, there we go.
Right, I've sewn both halves, and I'm ready to continue if you guys are ready to go.
absolutely.
Okay, so what we're doing now, we're just going to join the two sides together, because from now on we need to treat the two halves as one kind of entity. So we're going to do it very much like we did before. We're just going to run a layer of tape up the central spine. I always add my tape to the left side. It's just preference. You can do it to either. It really shouldn't make a difference. And I don't know where my tape is. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Again, trusty little holder, courtesy of. Right. So yeah, like I said before, we're just running a layer of tape up the middle of the kite. Again, flush with the edge. That's what we're looking for that 6mm seam. And after last week, and anybody else who's done the mini pulls, you guys should be pro at this by now. So, tape's on. Just going to blemish that in. And happy with that. So now we're going to start to peel it off. Now, what you need at this point is two very equal halves. And what I should have mentioned before, it's good to check that the halves are equal before you add them together. I didn't. That was a foolish mistake, but I have confidence. I did check these beforehand. I promise. Yeah. So what you want to do, you want to start at. I always start at the nose because that's the point where the leading edge is going to meet, and you can kind of correct it if it doesn't go well from here, but you really want to get this really flush. So starting at the nose and aligning with that 6mm tape. Always up for a challenge with these. And just piece it together.
Right. So Mark Giordone says, can you release the list of other components needed, spars, fittings, center seat, etc. As I'm sure.
And what you should find is at the end, the two halves match.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Am I having technical difficulties?
Well, I didn't know if I was having technical difficulties then.
I can hear you fine, Matt.
Okay. So, Chris?
I can hear Matt. I could briefly hear Josh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
yes.
That's all right.
But it was just the way that you completely talked over the explanation. So, just going back here, well, Mark has said, can you release the list of other components needed for spars, fittings, center tee, etc., as I'm sure several in the US would need to order those. Okay, Mark, I'm about to put in the chat the link to the website, which lists off all of the fittings. And Mr. Chris Purcell, Dr. Chris Purcell, has been working very hard on the website recently. So, yes, hopefully it should all be on there. Josh, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Right, how's that? Is that better?
That's better.
Whew, thank God for that. Right. What did you guys miss?
Well, we got to the point where you were talking about joining at the nose.
So you missed the entire. Okay, brilliant. So what the problem is is that I can't separate these to show you guys, but so what you're effectively doing is you're matching that line like you did with piecing the sails together, and you're just doing it again with the two halves. It's just like two panels, and just hoping that everything aligns. It's really hard to see because it is jet black, but this against the black hoodie, which is also good. These should align just like the nose does, and if that's the case, then you know you've got it quite right. So the next step to do is we're going to run the same stitch all the way up the center. Again, if you guys have black seams, it's sometimes a little bit hard to see where you need to stitch, so just make sure it's well lit. Yeah, and just keep your eye on it. But yeah, that's the next step, is we're going to sew the center seam, and then we're going to cut the reinforcements, put them in place, and that is enough for this week because there's quite a bit of work there for everybody, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so let's keep going.
So I would just like to cover the joining of the two panels. Now, if you are a novice like myself, I think you will definitely benefit from what I call the drape method, which is basically using a very like a low tack masking tape, taping one half of the kite to your table, and then you before apply your tape, and before actually peeling the backing off, lining it up, taping the top half in place, peeling the overlap back, and then removing the back of the tape and letting the two halves drape together. I'm sure if you look it up on YouTube, you'll find that technique. But it's basically fixing both halves of the sail in place before you've taken the back off the tape, and it means you can adjust them, get them lined up, roll the top half back on itself to reveal the tape, take the backing off the tape, and then drape the top half back over the top and press it down, and you should have a nice accurate join. Yeah, obviously Josh doesn't need anything like that because he's a pro.
Well.
So that was exactly the same stitch to join the two halves together, was it, Josh?
Exactly the same. It's the same technique. You lock off, run a straight stitch, Bob's your uncle, it's done. So what you can see now, I'm just going to move my sewing machine out of the way, and you guys can get a look at what I've actually done. Also, I want to see other people's kites again. I saw a really, really nice dark grey kite being cut, and I haven't as of yet seen that kite. Sorry, no, I have seen the kite. I want to know who's building it because it's a very, very nice kite.
Oh, Amy said they could actually hear and see what you were doing when you were attaching the two pieces of kite. So I don't know how it got lost along the way. Or maybe it was just me that missed it because I was talking over the top of you. There we go. So
okay.
I've asked, meanwhile, I did actually ask Mark about the isopropyl alcohol, and his response was, give me a second, I have a chart. So we're waiting to hear back from Mark to see what he says.
Right. So it's not the best view, but can we switch to iPad camera?
Yes, which will be that one.
Okay, so what you can see, you've got a sail which is sewn. Both halves are done. There's a Kit Kat packet. Well, we're not endorsing Kit Kat, so let's get rid of that. Yeah, and it's the same on both halves. Yeah, we are good to cut reinforcements now. Just having a look at the tail there. I realize the quality is not brilliant. I do apologize of the footage.
Yeah, I know. I thought you meant footage, not the guy.
Okay, so What we're going to need now, we're done with this. You don't need this anymore. Well, I mean, you do need this, but you don't need it yet.
Yeah, so don't bin it, but
yeah,
put it away and have it to hand.
Yeah, right. So you're going to need a hot pointy stick.
Good.
And you're going to need your reinforcement templates. So what we're going to be looking at today is B4, and you're also going to need some C4. Not your plastic explosives.
Okay, so that's a no to the plastic explosives, and we're definitely on a list now. So
right,
panel C4.
Yeah, panel C4 and B4. I'm just switching my soldering iron tip out to a sharp point, very much like last time.
Okay.
And you're going to want these to heat up. What was the temperature we looked at last time? We thought it was best at 400 degrees.
I think 400 was the magic number, but between 400 and 450 is perfectly acceptable.
Okay, so I'm just going to let that heat up now. Okay, and so while that's heating up, you're going to need some Dacron, and my Dacron is around here somewhere.
So, Josh, we've had a lot of questions about when over the course of the last few episodes and the build of the mini pulse, that when are the Kite Tech socks coming out?
Right, so do you know what? I genuinely have Kite Tech socks on the way. Okay. So let's have a contest, shall we?
Yes.
The first person to have if we can get a post on the Facebook page of the first person to complete all the stages in today's episode.
Yes.
Yeah, then you win Kite Tech
Okay,
socks.
so quick off the cuff competition. The first person to hold on, I think your camera's gone. Oh, there we go. Oh no, wait, here we go. The first person to complete all the steps in today's video and put a post on Facebook showing us will receive a pair of Kite Tech socks. So yeah, you got to be in it to win it. Let's see those pictures. It's definitely not going to be me. It has to be said, as I'm a little behind everybody else. I'm still building mini pulses. So yes, I'm a tad behind, but it's always been the way. It's fine.
I tell you what, if we get 10 people posting for the competition, Matt, I will also gift you some Kite Tech socks.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, right. So everyone, please, I need some Kite Tech build socks. So yeah, if everyone can post the pictures of their kites, then I will be very happy.
Okay, so anyway, we've moved past the Kite Tech lingerie, which will be coming out very soon. Now we're going to mark out the panels that we're going to cut. And the way we're going to do this, this can sometimes be a little bit complicated because obviously there's a curve and we're hot cutting Dacron. I must add that this part can also be done in Mylar. I would normally use Mylar, but truth be told, I've run out of Mylar. So for this week, I'll be using Dacron, but you can use both. It really won't make that much of a difference. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to trace around the template with a pencil. We need to do this twice.
So let's see if we've got any comments or questions. If you've got questions, people, now is the time to ask. And Mark says, I've just had a response. He said, apparently it depends on the type of polyurethane. I personally wouldn't risk it. Okay. So, yeah, I think probably hang fire on the use of isopropyl alcohol directly on the sale until further notice. I don't think it's going to be too dramatic, but better to err on the side of caution, for sure.
If you do it with many colors, you could get some really funky tie-dye kites.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just traced around these with a pencil. You can see your cut marks now. And all we're going to do, take your soldering iron or your hot knife or your scalpel, whatever you're using to cut. I suggest you hot cut Dacron, otherwise it will fray. And you're just going to cut it out. So you obviously have some straight lines in there. What I would suggest you do, if you feel comfortable with it, freehand the curve. If not, you can step it with the ruler.
I have to say, it's probably one of my least favorite things in kite building is actually cutting Dacron.
I think my least favorite thing in kite building is getting a carbon splinter up your fingernail.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. So, what have we got now?
There's one.
Not a lot of questions. We're obviously explaining ourselves very well.
To be fair, the majority of the things we're doing this week were covered in the Pulse build, and they're not that complicated this week.
It's fairly self-explanatory. Yeah.
Do we have a winner of the Kite Tech socks yet? Oh, of course we couldn't.
No, not yet, because we need you to do the finishing bits for today's episode.
Okay, so there is the two larger reinforcements, the B4, and now we're just going to make our C4.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're doubling up on the reinforcement with the C4 and B4 panels together. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, I take it that's because, for the people that don't know out there, that there's a substantial amount of pressure at that part.
This is the section of the kite which will be taking all the force of the standoff.
Right. Yeah.
So it needs a little bit more beef just to fight the power.
Yeah, and I suppose the standoff, even the sort of standoff connector, it's quite fine. So it's quite easy to generate a lot of pressure in that area as well.
Exactly. Okay, so again, they're marked. Now it's just time to cut them. Please bear in mind that there is still a curve present in the C4. This section here is in fact absolutely curved. As I
don't forget about the curves. Don't forget about the curves.
And if you are making many of these, I remember there was a kite I built a few years ago, which had, this was one kite, it had about 200 panels, very similar to this. If you get a metal template, you can rattle these off a lot quicker, and
so
you a lot of time.
If people are using Mylar, because I know you can use both, are both of B4 and C4 made out of Mylar?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Oh, it's warm in here.
Well, it's been very hot all week. I'm sure everyone has experienced the same sort of thing. Where is everybody tuning in from? That's a good one to find out. Actually, we've got quite a few people watching.
I think Kite Tech sucks for the most sarcastic answer.
That's surely got to be worth it. It's
I'm sure if a Mr. Morrison is watching, he'd be in a good chance of winning those.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Oh, nothing at all.
No.
Right, so we have our B4 and our C4 panels cut. What we're going to do now, we're going to layer them. So you can actually see inside the C4, there is the inside the B4, there is a place there for the C4. And all you're going to do is literally layer the two. You're going to make a mark if you need to see where it is. You can literally just run it over the top. And the easier way to do it, oh, sorry, you're watching me and not what I'm doing. So I've got the template here, just over the top. I can see just where the two are. So I'm going to make a mark there and a mark there. And I know that this is where the two tips of the C4 must fit, and they follow the same curve, so it dictates where it's going to go. I'm just going to find here it is. And you're reversing this. So if you need to reverse it, you can just add those marks yourself, if you can see through. And the mark goes there and there. And all we're going to do now is with our ATG tape, like before. Remember, you're making opposites, so I'm just going to do a full triangle of tape around the reinforcement. And make an opposite. So like I say, just make sure that you are making a mirrored image, or you will end up doing what Alan did and placing the tape on the wrong side of the panel.
Okay, so Amy is in Seattle, the city of tranquility. Bob is in Massachusetts. Mark is in Seattle. That's it so far. We've got a lot of viewers in the US. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, that's it. Carry on, Josh.
Okay, so when you apply that with the marks, it should sit nice and tightly inside that reinforcement. And it's the same again on the other side. Oops, sorry, I'm doing this out of frame.
Can I ask another question, Josh?
No.
All right. Okay, I'll go away.
No, of course you can.
I saw the templates for B4 and C4, and obviously immediately, because I've got so many sports kites, I understood that they were the reinforcing for the trailing edge and the standoff position.
Yes.
I kind of expected B4 to be on the back of the kite and C4 to perhaps be on the front, where the standoff position goes.
Okay. It has been done. I don't personally do it that way because I like the front of the kite to look as smooth as possible, but you can put it on the front if you prefer, or maybe both.
Yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying. I like the aesthetic of seeing a clean surface too. But I say, when I saw 2 templates for the Dacron or the Mylar, I kind of expected you to sandwich the fabric of the actual sail in between them.
Well, no.
Yeah, teach me to make assumptions, doesn't it?
Okay. Does that answer your question?
It does, actually. I quite like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea. It's the same amount of reinforcing, so it really, I don't suppose, matters whether it's on the front, the back, or somewhere in between. But yeah, that's good. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so now we're going to flip this over. So the second reinforcement is on the front, and we're going to apply it to the side, which has effectively, you can just see one reinforcement. And like before, we're going around the full circumference of the shape. And if I'm missing any brutally obvious stuff you guys want to know, please do call me out on it.
So the tape goes on the opposite side to C4.
Yes. And I'm going to make sure next time I do a reinforcement panel, it's not called C4.
And these will ultimately, if I've understood the conversation between you and Alan just now, these are going to go on the back of the sail?
Back of the sail, yes. And you guys will need your C3 panels in a moment for aligning these.
So C3 template.
Yes, sorry. Well, and the panel.
Oh, and yes. Yeah. So you'll need your sail, your C3 template, and the reinforcements that you're just knocking up now. Oh, Mark's watching. Oh, right. Okay. So we got John. Hi, John. We got Mark G in Spokane. Spokane. And other Mark, our good friend Mark Allen, is in Watford. Hi, Mark. Thanks for tuning in, mate. And yes, Mark Thorne says, hello, everyone. Hello, Mark.
Okay, we good?
We good.
We're good. Right, okay. I'm just going to grab my C3 panel. And I remember where I put it. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay, so C3, you can see again, like on the the B4 panel, you have that placeholder there, and that's there for a very deliberate reason. Obviously, to show you where the reinforcement goes. So what you can do is, if you have enough space, which I unfortunately don't at the minute, you can layer it underneath, and you can get an exact line of where that's meant to be. But I'm going to layer it on top, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before, which is find a pencil, and I'm just going to mark the bottom 2 points, because then you know it has to sit within, and the curve should be following that line. It should be dictated almost. So I've got my 2 marks. I've got the right side, so i.e. the second reinforcement is going to be sitting the furthest point away from the sail. Just going to peel off this crap, this back. And then we're going to apply it to the back of the sail. Matt's just had to run and take a very quick phone call, so he will be back very, very soon. Just make sure the feed is still going. Right, looks that way. Yeah, it's fine. So you can see that this is following that edge right between those 2 marks, and it follows the natural curve. There's a little bit of an excess on the edge, but you'll see what happens with that next week. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to fold the sail in half, so you can see the C4 panels are lining up with each other. And instead of matching it to the template this time, you're actually going to match it to what's already there. So you get 2 equal halves of the kite. So that's aligned. Again, take off the backer.
It wasn't a phone call. I really needed a wee. But thanks for covering for me though, Josh. Much
That's all right.
appreciated.
I was trying to be polite.
Well, you know I'm not very polite. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so now, oh, sorry, Matt.
No. So I missed the crucial point of the actual sticking, but I take it we had a successful adhesion to the sail, and you've now folded the sail in towards, like, the 2 halves in towards, so now you're looking at the back of the other half, and you're just lining it up perfectly, or not.
Thanks for that, Matt.
Sorry. We're full circle in the chat, aren't we? You know, going back to removing tape or from the back of the sail. Well done for doing that. I think that's an impressive skill that you've managed to steer it all back round. Okay,
so what we have now is we have our reinforcement on the back of the sail. Okay, and
Very
now
nice.
With the same triple stitch, we're going to sew those, and then that's going to be us for this week. I think we'll give you guys enough work to do for the next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's plenty. Ian Middleton's in Stirling, Scotland. Hi, Ian. Yeah, I think that's all good. Anyone else on YouTube? No. The comments are always very few and far between on YouTube. It's funny that I know we do get a lot more viewers in Facebook, but it seems like everyone on YouTube knows what they're doing, or at least thinks they do.
Okay, so what I've done for this stitch, just so you guys know, if we can switch to the side camera.
Yeah, side camera coming up.
So we're starting at this point here, and we don't need to lock this off because it's going to be concealed within the trailing edge, which we'll get to next week. But we're actually going to half the size of our triple stitch. It's a little bit tighter, and you'll see why in due course. So it's just no lock off, remember, we're just literally running it. And just following that edge. So what we're going to look for here, we've got quite a sharp angle. We're going to stop on the corner of this point and then lift our foot and rotate, and then we're just going to continue it.
So Josh, the width is the same, but you've just shortened the length.
Directly halved it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so next angle and rotate. And again, we don't need to lock this off because it will be concealed. And then we're doing exactly the same thing with the second reinforcement, so that triangle that's sitting on top. To the angle, rotate. That up there. And
so we're not saying the trailing edge of either of those panels, literally just the top two sort of leading edges effectively, yeah.
So what you should end up with something a little bit more. The stitching on the other side, which looks like that.
Oh, looks great.
Okay, and final step, we're just going to go ahead and do that on the other side.
I'm interested to see who's going to be the first person to make this post. Who is going to be the first person to get their Kite Tech socks? we haven't actually checked in with everyone doing the build, but I've got a feeling that in terms of people getting the socks, it's going to be a close run thing between Mr. Chris Purcell and Watty, I believe. I'm not sure where Alan's at either, because Alan could be the dark horse. Right, I'm going to check in with everyone. So have your work ready. If it's in the middle of a stitch, then you'll just have to tell me to politely come back to you. Chris, I'm going to start with you. That's so unfair, isn't it? All right, Chris. Where? Yeah, you knew it. You knew it was coming. I'm sorry, but your first one on my list, mate.
That's all right. I was lucky at right at the end. So where am I? I've been trying to keep up with Josh and failing absolutely dismally.
He's a bit of a dynamo. He is a bit of a dynamo with his own machine.
I've been going as fast as I dare on this because they do like to do me. I have one panel.
Oh, wow.
And have two long length.
Oh, Chris.
The B panel. But yeah, so I'm getting there, but I am a little bit behind, so I'm going to have to go back and watch the video for the tips on the reinforcements that you.
Chris, I really like that color scheme, mate. That honestly, it looks immaculate as well. Fair play, fair play. That's really nice. Okay. Oh, Watty's really not going to like me now because he's in the middle of hot cutting. Here we go. Let's check in with Watty. How's that hot cutting going, sir? He can't reach his unmute button. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Let's see, where am I at? I've got the
watch that iron.
The wave from the soldering iron.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got my two halves together and sewn.
Oh, nice color combo.
And now I'm just hot cutting out all the Dacron. Actually, just finished the Dacron pieces. So then just to put them together and stuff like that.
Oh, you're going to be in the running for a pair of socks, mate, once you get that post
I like
up.
some good socks.
Yeah. Right, Alan, you know it. I'm heading my way over to you. You're muted. You're muted. Here we go.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm still sewing the first half.
Oh, Alan, no socks for you. The color scheme is amazing, by the way. Again, so credit to everyone for picking their colors, but I've really got to say massive credit to Josh because I love the look of this kite and I cannot wait to have one in my collection. Also, Alan, are they kites in the background or is that just artwork?
The ones you can see.
Yeah.
That's a picture of children flying kites. The large two behind me.
Yeah.
These are paper Edos I made quite a few years ago. They're a geisha and a Japanese warrior. They're paper Edos.
I have to say, you always tease us by having something that can fly in the background. So thank you for that because they do look amazing. Right, who else have we got? So let's have a look. Josh, let's go for this one. Oh, as he walks off screen. I couldn't have timed that any better. Right, let's have a look on Facebook. What have we got here? Okay, so people are just commenting on the color schemes. If anyone in the Facebook or on YouTube wants to either join us in Zoom or wants to send me a picture of what they're doing currently, or put a post on the line page, we can do a screen share and show everyone else what you're doing because we honestly, Josh gets a real kick out of seeing everyone's color combinations and seeing kites that he's designed getting made. So yeah, Josh, honestly, from me to you, sir, I want to I know we're only sort of a little way through the build at this moment in time, but I want to say a massive thank you because I honestly, genuinely, not just saying it, really do like the look of this kite and you've put in a lot of effort. So thank you very much from me and everyone else at home and everyone in Zoom to you, sir. So
don't worry about it. It's an absolute pleasure.
Oh, sorry. Let me switch the camera. I just noticed what you're doing. Look at that. I mean, come on. I really like that. Awesome.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Fun times.
Okay, so I will make a Facebook post as soon as we've done this. We're putting the link to the website, and I'll probably pin the link to the website so that it's at the top of the page, because it's got all of the mini pulse stuff on there. It's got the podcasts on there. Yes, the podcast is still on hiatus. You're having to bear with us with that, because it does take a lot of effort to do. We've got a few under our belt, and we will be doing more, but it will be very much as and when, because we're dedicating all of our time to the lives.
You may have forgot something, Matt.
Yes, I have. So, what are we calling it?
I don't know.
It needs a nice snappy name. Well, would it have? We can get that, but it's we're going to have effectively a community kite flyer of the month. So what we want you to do is nominate. You can't nominate yourself, and Josh, that's pie. So we're just going to switch to that.
Sorry.
So what we want you to do is we want to give recognition to kite flyers out there that might not normally get the recognition. So people that you fly with, or have seen videos of, pictures of, people you want to give a shout out to, we're going to take nominations during the month, and as a poll on Facebook, and when we sort of effectively get a winner, we're going to what are we going to do, Josh?
We're going to give them some on the line socks, a one-off.
Yes, exactly, something like that. But there will be recognition attributed. But we want to encourage people to nominate their favorite flyers. It can be anyone, just someone you fly with. But the one rule effectively is that we see a video or picture of your nominated flyer, and we will make them the kite flyer of the month for the whole of the following month. How about that? So where are we up to? I think Facebook there. If you've got last minute questions, now's the time to ask, because we will be wrapping up very shortly. Anything on YouTube? No. Okay, so Josh, what is happening next week in the build?
What's happening next week?
In the build.
Oh, in the build. Okay. I was going to say job interview. No. Right. So next week in the build, it's going to be an exciting week. We are going to be doing trailing edges, which is fun. Everybody's going to love that. I really love trailing edges.
Do I take it that that's a particularly difficult part?
I'm not going to lie to you. It's not the easiest, but it's also a challenge, and everybody loves a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be looking at the leading edge, preparation of the leading edge, and we may even get it on there. I don't think
we'll see what the time does for us. Yeah.
And yeah, so I think for next week that's probably going to be where we're at, to be honest, because that's quite an intensive session.
That's quite involved, quite intensive. Okay, all right. Well, okay, everyone at home, you know the challenge. The first person to post a picture of their sail up to the point that Josh's is currently sitting at on his table, so with reinforcements all sewn up, the lot. Okay, so everything we've covered thus far, the first person to post a picture will get a pair of Kite Tech field socks. Come on, that's a prize. And if enough of you post pictures, I get a pair for free. Come on, get posting. I'll be making sure that Alan and Watty and Chris all make their posts. Otherwise, we're going to have words.
I mean,
okay.
let's face it, if nobody posts, nobody gets socks. And that's, I mean, I can't guarantee that they'll be as exciting, but come on.
So, okay, right. That's it. So thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, we will be back. In fact, I'm going to take the camera for a minute. There we go. Yes, thank you for tuning in, everyone. We will be back same time next week, which is, come on, you all know it, 8 p.m. UK time. Don't ask me about the other times because I don't know about Seattle, but just, Google it, 8 p.m. UK. And we will be doing
noon in Seattle.
There we go. See?
There you go.
That's what he's here for. He's our international correspondent. So yes, we will be doing trailing edges, which Josh tells us are loads of fun. So yeah, probably plenty of Red Bull is required or coffee.
You see, I'm having a Red Bull revelation at the minute.
Oh, are you? Okay, so no Red Bull, but bring your stimulant of choice along with you next week because the trailing edge will be fun and possibly some leading edge stuff as well. So from me and everyone else, come on, you know what to do. Wave. See you later, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.